right, but Khalwale, you wanted to respond to Sifuna, who's saying this is ill-time. The issue here is not a housing issue, it's an income problem. That is what needs to be resolved first.
You know, my understanding is that the issue of urbanization is appreciated by Senator Sifuna and all his other colleagues in Azimio. It therefore means that even in their manifesto, I never had an opportunity to read it, they must have had something on housing. If they didn't, then they were not prepared to lead this country. I would have expected that being the case, Sifuna would have used this opportunity to punch holes the way he's attempting in our plan for housing, and then explain to Kenyans how better they would have done it. He is actually a good student, Sifuna, I'm realizing, but in a classroom of a bad teacher. Sifuna is correctly saying that one of the problems of failure to people to own houses in Nairobi is because of expensive land. He has said it. And yet in our program, that's exactly the number one thing that we have addressed. We are telling people with our program, we will give you free land and you will not pay taxes on that housing. We have responded to his concern. Number two, he's saying the building materials are too expensive. And he's telling us that we have increased tax on imported cement, and therefore we are not solving the problem. Sifuna, listen to me. In fact, the tax increment on imported cement, the increment should have been higher, because we want to discourage cement from being imported into Kenya for the reason that Kenyans, we are net producer of cement. We produce cement here, we've got all the raw materials, we have the technique, we have already the track record of producing cement which we have been exporting to Uganda, Rwanda and everywhere. We must discourage anybody from importing cement here. You can imagine the cement which the Chinese have been importing into this country for the last 10 years when Uhuru has been president. If that money had been reserved for the people who produce cement locally, the contribution to this economy in terms of actual finance and in terms of jobs would have been enormous. A student with a poor teacher in your classroom. Thirdly, Senator Sifuna, you give the impression that the president's hands are not safe hands, but you don't back it with any facts. It's just a statement that we cannot trust the president with another fund. You said NHIF fund, NSSF fund, they are a failure, and therefore we can't trust Ruto with a fund. Once upon a time, there was a president called Mwai Kibaki, and he allowed ministers to work. I'm lucky that I worked under Kibaki. Kibaki marked out particular programs for respective people. He marked out slum upgrading. He was pushing it himself through Soita Shtanda. It was a success. He marked out agriculture for some time and education for some time to William Ruto. William Ruto, when agriculture was marked to him, he cut the cost of fertilizer. When Ruto then was moved to education, he managed to sort out the double intake that used to be a headache in this country. And what is more, Ruto is the one now who rolled out the current success that is called the TVETs institutions, Technical and Training Institutes. On the other hand, Senator Sifuna, Kazi kwa Vijana was marked to the former Prime Minister, Raila Odinga. And Kazi kwa Vijana became a serious scandal when it was being presided over by the former Prime Minister. So the success of Ruto at that time, I pray for him because I don't know, people change. But the success that we saw him at that time, if I pray that he succeeds in a similar manner, our housing program is going to succeed. And the fears you are raising are real. The points you are saying that the people are not in slum areas by choice is true. The people living in the slum areas would love to come out, but they cannot come out if they have leaders like you guys who do not want to move the frontier of practice of leadership by breaking fresh ground to allow for new ideas to guide our leadership.
Why can't this deduction be voluntary?
Precisely. You people, you are misleading the country to make housing look like it is tax. The 3% is taxation. It is not a tax measure at all. It is a saving. We are telling people, let us encourage you to save. Allow me.
Why is that?
There is so much financial illiteracy in this country that even Ponzi schemes, pyramid schemes, even Shylocks, even online conmen succeed because of financial illiteracy. People must know that saving is part of financial management of your income. Now, we have not been even allowed, because of the noise coming from Azmio, to remind Wananchi that that person who is earning over 500,000 shillings per month, the maximum he will pay to this program, not pay, save, the maximum he will be helped to save is actually 2,500 shillings. 2,500, that's the maximum. Now, the misinformation that my brother wants to give the public, that they will have to wait for 25 years before they get the house, is exactly the problem.
You said it yourself.
No. I've not mentioned the word 25 years. Nobody will wait for 25 years. As soon as the houses are ready, people are going to queue for the houses. Not based on how much you've contributed, but the criteria that will allow the people in the queue to get, and you will not wait until after you have saved 3 million for you to be given a house. You will stay in the house and be paying for it, so that instead of paying rent, the money which you would have been paying rent is helping you to offset the house which you could clear in a lifetime.
Why does it have to be mandatory? That's the part.
So, let me say the things I don't like about the housing thing. Yeah. I'm also a Kenyan. What I don't like about the housing is that because it is a saving, to me it looks like a national circle. Okay? Let people go in voluntarily, slowly, after they have captured. The only mistake I see is that we are rushing people, giving them new information too fast. So we needed to precede this with better public participation, allow people to graduate into the scheme probably for a period of 2 years. People will have understood it. Then that way the noise you're hearing would have been less. Me personally, I want to assure all the majority of Kenyans who are in this country and they are hustling and they are jobless and they don't have a pay slip, not to listen to these few Kenyans who are privileged, they are employed, they have a pay slip, not to confuse them to think that their wars is their wars.
Okay. But let's be a bit practical. Okay? So, assuming somebody earns 30,000 shillings.
Yes.
3% will be about 900 shillings.
Yes.
The employer also contributes another 900 shillings.
Yes.
That's 1,800 per month.
Yes.
In a year, that's 21,600.
A year?
In a year, that's 21,600.
Okay.
How long will it take to get 3 million?
You know, the principle is pooling. It is called pooling of the resources. We have pooled the money. And once the money is pooled, the administration of the fund finds already government is given free land. Finds developers, for information, who find that there is a guarantee, yes, that the money you sink into that project, you'll recoup it because there will be no default on repayment.